Olive was standing in a huge room with large pictures on the walls and big, oddly shaped objects all over the place.
Oh, what a colourful place!
Suddenly, Olive heard a voice.
Where did I put them?
One of the objects began to move. It was a seagull. It wore a beret and was waving around a paintbrush. Olive jumped.
I didn't notice you back there. I'm Olive.
Greetings. I'm Vincent van Gogh, famous artist and sculptor. This is my gallery, and these are my paintings and sculptures. You like them, yes?
Oh, they're fantastic!
Exclaimed Olive.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very talented, it's true. But I just need to paint one more painting on this blank canvas for my big exhibition. Problem is, I can't find my tubes of paint. God!
Then Olive noticed something shining on one of the sculptures.
A telescope? I think I may have an idea.
Olive looked through the telescope for clues, and on the floor she spotted some drips of paint. She followed the trail of paint over to a sculpture of a man having a good old think.
Here's one.
Said Olive, throwing it down to Vincent.
My green paint!
Here's another.
My yellow paint!
Olive continued to follow the trail, finding Vincent's tubes of paint in all sorts of interesting places. She found Vincent's blue paint, his orange paint, and his purple paint. Vincent was very pleased.
Oh, yes, I must have left my paints in my great works of art as I was creating them. Well spotted, Olive. You have the eye of a great artist.
Thanks very much.
But where is my lucky color? Red.
Hey, I think I see it.
Olive had spotted it at the very top of the tallest sculpture in the room.
How are we going to reach that?
Don't worry, Vincent. I'll get it.
Olive jumped up on the sculpture and started to climb. She reached out and just managed to knock the paint down to Vincent.
Well done, Olive.
He exclaimed.
Now I have all my paints.
As Olive cheered,
Yay!
she lost her balance.
Look out!
Olive landed on top of Vincent, who dropped his tubes of paint, which squirted all over Olive as they hit the ground. Cried Olive as she stumbled backwards, covered in paint, and fell onto the blank canvas.
Oh, no. Are you all right, Olive?
I'm okay, but I think I've ruined your canvas.
But when Olive pulled herself away from the canvas, on it was an amazing multicoloured painting of Olive.
It's spectacular!
Exclaimed Vincent.
It's a masterpiece, the best in my big exhibition.
Hey, I've always wanted to be in a painting.
Giggled Olive. They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay.
Actually, I had a painting in an art exhibition.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.
Olive the Ostrich! Hey, this is a spectacular place.
Olive saw a man with a huge curly moustache. He wore a red and black tunic with a crown on the front.
I'm Olive. Where am I, please?
I'm Beefy the Beefeater. You're on a tour of the Tower of London.
He answered.
Frick, I'm in London.
Olive found a camera hanging around her neck and snapped a few pictures.
And if you look to your right, you'll see the ravens. Tradition says they must never leave the tower, or the kingdom will fall. And not a single one has. Not on my watch, anyhow.
Hello, what's your name?
Olive asked.
Roberta,
And why do you look so sad, Roberta?
because I really want to explore London, like those tourists over there. I want to see all the sights, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, and especially Trafalgar Square.
But of course you can't leave the tower.
Said Olive.
No, and Beefy is always watching and counting us.
So you need to somehow get away without Beefy realising.
Olive looked around and saw an ice cream van nearby. She also saw a lady tourist wearing a long black raincoat.
An ice cream van. A black raincoat. I think I may have an idea. Please, can I borrow your raincoat?
Olive asked the lady, who nodded. Then she bought an ice cream cone from the ice cream van. Olive put on the black raincoat and stuck the cone onto her own beak, using the ice cream to make it stick. She looked just like a raven. Well, almost.
I'll pretend to be you, Roberta, while you go to see the sights of London.
Wow, great idea.
When Beefy was looking the other way, Roberta made a dash through the tower gates. Olive tried to blend in with the other ravens, but she was so tall she really stuck out. What was worse, the ice cream cone was melting, dripping into a growing puddle at her feet. Beefy walked over and began counting the ravens.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When he got to Olive, he stopped and raised an eyebrow. Said Olive. It was a pretty good impression of a raven. Beefy shrugged and continued to count.
5, 6 ravens. Excellent.
But now, Olive's ice cream had melted so much, the cone fell off her beak.
Hang on a raven counting minute. You're not a raven. You're an ostrich. I'd better count again.
Oh no, he's going to realise there's one raven missing.
Beefy began to count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5?
But just in the nick of time, Roberta came swooping in over the Tower of London's walls. She landed just behind Beefy. Said Roberta loudly. Beefy spun round.
Aha! There's number 6, all safe and sound. What was I thinking? It's not like these ravens ever leave the tower. Not on my watch, anyway.
Beefy walked off to get his dinner.
No, us ravens never leave the tower.
Chuckled Roberta. This made Olive and the other ravens laugh too. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been a raven in the Tower of London.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was in a big room surrounded by tall shelves full of books. It was very quiet.
Where am I?
Said Olive, rather loudly.
Shh, be quiet, please. You're in a library.
A face peered out from behind one of the bookshelves. It was a little red squirrel with a big bushy tail.
Oh, sorry.
Olive whispered.
I'm Olive. Why is it so quiet in this library?
Because it's a place where you come to read or borrow books. It's best to have quiet when you're trying to read. I'm Henry Huckleberry, and I love to read.
Oh, me too.
Trouble is, I can't find my favourite book anywhere.
What's it called?
It's a big yellow book called Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. It's really awesome.
It was then Olive and Henry heard someone muttering.
Oh dear, oh dear.
They peered behind a shelf and saw a little red-faced bookworm putting books back on the shelves.
Oh dear, oh bother.
Excuse me.
Whispered Olive.
What? What is it? I'm very busy, you know.
We're looking for a book. Wilfred, it's called Attack of the Mutant...
Sorry, I haven't got time to find your book. I've got all these books to put back on the shelves. Too much to do. Got to go.
Henry sighed.
This place is such a mess. My book could be anywhere.
Wait.
Said Olive.
Look, there's a yellow book on the top of that tall shelf.
Oh, yes. That's Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. But we're never going to reach it way up there.
Lots of books that can be piled up really high. I think I may have an idea.
Henry and Olive stacked the books higher and higher until the pile almost touched the ceiling.
There. We'll have your book down in no time.
Olive began to climb the stack of books, but as Olive climbed higher, the books became more and more wobbly.
Be careful, Olive.
Whispered Henry. Finally, Olive got to the top. She had to lean over to grab Henry's book with her beak, but then the stack of the books really started to wobble. Olive couldn't keep her balance anymore. And then the whole stack collapsed. The books came tumbling down into a huge heap, burying Olive and Henry.
Oops.
Said Olive. Wilfred came rushing over.
Shh! What is this terrible mess?
Sorry, we were just trying to get my favourite book from the top shelf, and it all went horribly wrong.
We can help you put all these books back on the shelves, Wilfred.
Well, yes, I suppose that would be very helpful.
So Olive, Henry and Wilfred put all the books back onto the shelves. Finally, there was just one book left.
Wow! Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. I've been looking for this book for ages. It's my favourite.
Wow, mine too.
Beamed Henry.
Why don't we read it together?
Yes! Great idea!
Shouted Wilfred.
Shush!
Shushed Olive and Henry.
Sorry,
Whispered Wilfred.
I should really keep my voice down. This is a library, don't you know?
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I helped find Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. It was very dark, except for one light that was pointing straight at her.
Oop, Kirk, I'm in the spotlight.
Exclaimed Olive. She was on stage in a huge theatre. She was wearing a frilly collar and very, very pointy shoes. She could hear someone crying and headed off to investigate. Backstage was dark. She couldn't see anyone anywhere. She noticed the sobbing was coming from under a large furry cushion in the corner. Olive tried to lift up the cushion, but the cushion moved and cried, "Ouch!" The cushion stood up, and Olive saw that it had arms and legs. It wasn't a cushion at all. It was actually a big brown bear.
Ooh, sorry.
Said Olive.
Don't worry, happens all the time. I'm Sir Derek Jackabear.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you. But why are you crying?
It's the opening night of the play. The actress I'm performing with hasn't arrived. I'm scared I'll forget my lines.
Oh, dear. Well, I could be the actress. But I don't know the lines either.
This is a disaster. What are we going to do, lovey?
Olive saw that there was a big book sitting on a table next to a bottle of glue.
Is that the play we're performing in?
That's the one. 11th Night by William Shakespeare.
And what do you use the glue for?
I use it to stick this false beard on for the play.
A script. Some glue? I think I may have an idea.
With Sir Derek's help, Olive tore out all the pages from the script and stuck them everywhere. On the curtains, on the props, even on the stage itself.
Oh, I see. Now we don't have to remember our lines. We can just read them. Bravo, lovey.
As Derek stuck on his false beard, Olive put on the final piece of hair costume, a huge feathery hat. Derek gave her one last piece of advice.
Break a leg, lovey.
Olive looked confused.
It's what we say in the theatre. It means good luck.
And with that, the curtain went up and the play began. Olive and Derek moved around the stage, reading the lines and acting out the play. Everything was going brilliantly until one of the big feathers on Olive's hat fell in front of her eyes. She couldn't see where she was going. One of her long shoes caught on a page that she had glued to the stage. Olive fell off the stage and into the audience. But the audience caught Olive and lifted her up high above their heads. She crowd surfed all the way around the theatre before eventually landing back on the stage. And with that, The play was over. The audience went wild, clapping and cheering.
This play is a huge success.
Boomed Sir Derek.
I have my beautiful leading lady to thank for that.
He leaned over and gave Olive a kiss on her beak.
Mwah.
Oh, I say. I didn't break a leg, but I've got a few bruises from falling off the stage.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been performing in a spectacular play.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a big science laboratory, surrounded by test tubes filled with colourful, bubbling liquids. She wore a white lab coat and a big pair of safety goggles. Suddenly, she heard a voice.
No. What is the answer to this problem?
Olive turned around and saw a small man in a lab coat. He was muttering to himself and staring into a microscope.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Ouch, you startled me. I am Professor Comeover, but you can call me Hair Comeover. I am a very busy scientist. What can I do for you?
I was going to ask you the same thing. Are you in a spot of bother?
I've been trying to invent a cure for baldness for many years. It's driving me mad.
The professor turned and picked up 2 bottles from the table.
I need to mix together the right ingredients for the cure. If I do, I will have beautiful flowing hair again. Oh, how I miss my hair. Look, this is me when I was younger. Handsome, eh? I just can't find the right ingredients.
I don't know much about ingredients for your cure, I'm afraid.
Then Olive spotted something in the corner of the lab.
A mop. I think I may have an idea. Close your eyes, Hair Comeover.
Professor Comeover closed his eyes. Olive pulled the handle off the mop and stuck it on top of the professor's head.
You can open your eyes now.
The professor looked in a mirror.
I look like my great-aunt Brunhilde.
He shrieked.
I don't want this. I want to grow my own.
All right, keep your hair on.
Look, if you really want to help, I need you to get that big blue book down from the shelf.
Well, this book can't have been open in a very long time. It's covered in dust.
Olive opened the book and dust flew up everywhere. And Olive couldn't help sneezing.
Achoo!
The sneeze made her fall backwards into a shelf filled with hundreds of bottles. One of them toppled over and poured orange liquid into a beaker of purple liquid on the table.
No, wait, that's not good.
Cried the professor. All of a sudden there was a huge bang.
I don't believe it. It's a miracle. You did it, Olive. You found the cure for baldness. You're a scientific genius.
Professor Comeover was so excited he danced about all over the place.
Thanks very much.
Beamed Olive. It was then she caught her own reflection in the mirror.
Well, I like it, but this huge hairdo could take some getting used to. Hey, would you like me to style yours a bit?
Why not?
Replied the professor. Using a comb and a pair of scissors, Olive went to work styling the professor's new hairdo.
What do you think?
Thank you very much.
Well, it looks like you won't be needing to read this dusty old science book anymore. Oh no, I'm going to... Achoo! I've lost all me hair. Oh well, here today, gone tomorrow, eh?
They both laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been helping cure baldness.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a big room, surrounded by huge skeletons.
Cake, These are very impressive.
Olive saw a little old man dusting one of the skeletons.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Oh, hello. My name's Pterodactyl. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What is this amazing place, Terry?
Well, Olive, this is a museum, and these are dinosaur skeletons. Dinosaurs used to roam our planet millions of years ago.
Where? That's a long time.
Oh, yes, and it's my job to keep these spotless. I could really use some help tonight dusting them.
I'd love to help you, Terry.
Thanks, Olive. We have to be very careful, though. They're extremely delicate.
So Olive and Terry got to work dusting the bones. But all of a sudden, Olive spotted a shadow moving. It looked like one of the dinosaur skeletons.
Hey, the skeleton's alive!
Olive turned and ran away, but she wasn't looking where she was going.
Olive, watch out!
Cried Terry. Too late.
Yeah!
Olive ran straight into another skeleton, and all the bones collapsed. Those bones tumbled into the next skeleton, and it fell over too. Then the next, and the next, until every skeleton had tumbled into a huge pile of bones on the floor.
Oops, sorry.
Said Olive.
Olive, what have you done? The museum opens soon and everybody will want to see the dinosaurs.
Sorry, I saw a dinosaur move over there and it scared me.
Standing next to the pile of bones stood a rather sheepish-looking boy wearing a dinosaur mask.
Oh, that's my son, Pterodactyl. What have I told you about creeping up on people wearing that mask? I'm sorry, Olive. No wonder you were scared. I'm sorry, too.
Said Jerry.
That's okay, Jerry.
But how am I ever going to put all these skeletons back together? It's impossible. Would you like to see my dinosaur drawings, Olive? Look, I've done every single skeleton in the museum.
These are really good. Drawings? Piles of bones? I think I may have an idea. Jerry, we can use your pictures to help us rebuild all the skeletons. I'm sure we'll be finished before the museum opens.
Great idea, Olive. Let's do it.
So they got started.
Put that there, Dad.
But it was like a huge puzzle. It really wasn't easy to work out where the bones were meant to go,
Put this one here.
Something's not quite right.
said Olive.
Too late. The museum has just opened. Here comes the first tour group.
And here on your right is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and as you can see, it had absolutely huge wings.
Oh!
And over here is the Brontosaurus with its two tails. That's enough of the dinosaurs. Let's move on, shall we?
Phew, I think we got away with it, Olive.
I think we've created some brand new dinosaurs, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been rebuilding dinosaur skeletons.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.
Olive the Ostrich!
Olive was outside in a large field. It was a cloudy day, and there was a machine with a huge pipe poking up into the sky. Lots of wires ran into a control box on the side with a big dial on it.
Oh, watch out!
Cried a voice. Olive just had time to duck as an old man flew right over the top of her head. He had a backpack with a spinning propeller and was carrying a remote control and a strange-looking object.
Oh, are you okay? I'm Olive.
Yes, I think so.
Said the old man.
I'm Dr. Cleverbrain, famous inventor, and this is my weather machine. I've just been trying to mend it.
A weather machine. What does it do?
It controls the weather. It makes clouds, rain, snow, thunder, lightning, wind, and it can even suck up the clouds too. But this special multispectral Ujikali herbal madrometer has fallen off the top, and the machine won't work without it.
Oh, well, can you fix the, multi-spectral thingamy?
I've been trying to fly up there using my helipack, but can't work the helipack remote control and hold the multispectral Ujikali Urpal Madrometer at the same time.
A helipack? A remote control? I think I may have an idea. Maybe I could control your helipack using the remote control, so you can replace the multi-urpally thingamy thing.
Great idea, Olive.
Dr. Cleverbrain gave Olive the remote control. She started to move the sticks and jerkily guided Dr. Cleverbrain up to the top of the pipe. Olive was concentrating hard. This wasn't easy at all.
Just a little bit closer, Olive.
But Olive was so focused on controlling the helipack, she didn't notice she'd bumped the control dial on the weather machine. The dial on the machine turned to wind. Olive spun around trying to control the helipack as she watched Dr. Cleverbrain, but got tangled up in the wires, so she couldn't see what she was doing.
Who turned out the lights?
The weather machine made lots of rain.
Oh, 99.
Then suddenly, it made a thunderstorm. Then a snowstorm. And finally, it sucked up all the clouds in the sky, along with poor old Dr. Cleverbrain. Then there was a bang and a clatter, and Dr. Cleverbrain came flying out of the doors at the bottom of the machine. He helped untangle Olive.
What happened?
We fixed the machine, Olive, just like new.
Olive looked up and saw all the weather shooting out from the machine into the sky. In one place, it was snowing. In another, it was raining. And in another place, there was a thunderstorm. And right above Olive was bright sunshine, making a beautiful rainbow.
Looks like it'll be hard to forecast the weather today.
Chuckled Olive. They both laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I've been using a weather machine to make weather.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.